So let me just jump into a project here and sort of walk around here for a short bit. Again, some of those big ticket items, what were we talking about there? We've got RFIs, submittals, project meetings. Real easy to kind of jump into those photos. You can come into a photos area and add your photos here. Why would photos, I didn't even mention that in my list of things, right? There's just so much here. Adding photos is pretty straightforward. You can drag and drop or pick them. But of course, photos have metadata. And then you can search on that metadata based on location or photo type or tags you may have added. Or maybe you've got 3 different field crews, right? So who uploaded the photo? Maybe your inspector, right? You can filter all sorts of things based off of these attributes. And then, of course, if I actually had photos with metadata, I could see where that photo was taken on our map. So I should mention briefly, there is a website, learnacc.autodesk.com, that gives you introductory sort of get your feet wet training on all of the functionality we're talking about across everything, not just Build for that matter. So if I go here to Build, there are these short little, you can see I've registered for some I've completed, some I haven't registered for, etc. But you can see we're not breaking the bank on time. This is 20 minutes. That's 90 minutes. Okay, so maybe that's a long lunch one day, or maybe after work. Right? Well, all these are very short. The idea being, here's an introduction to this piece or that piece of functionality. And it uses your Autodesk login that you would have anyway as a way to kind of keep track of what you've learned and where you are, whether you're registered or not. So that's just a quick little tidbit about all of the education that they're trying to provide just to get you started. Okay, so that aside, obviously we can provide education for you as we tweak things and set things up for you for your particular company. But certainly the introductory stuff is common to everyone. All right, so RFIs. Let me go ahead and create an RFI. I don't have any assigned to me or visible to me, so let me just create one. What can I do? I've got a status. I've got a title. Maybe I'll put today's date as a prefix. I'm making up an RFI. I can assign a code reviewer, anyone from a company or specific members. I can give this a due date. I can't put yesterday as much as we would like to. We'll say Friday. I can enter some more details, but an RFI says where we provide you an ability to have a question and an answer. I know this is not a typical RFI, just explaining the process, right? I don't know, who knows? So maybe that's a particular answer that I'm looking for, or maybe I'll just let them answer. Again, I can add references based on, maybe there was email, we had a meeting, whatever, right? I can assign that to a reference or assign that as a reference to the RFI. We can even stack the RFIs, right? So now I'm cascading them. So this relates to another RFI. Does this cost impact? Does it schedule impact? Yes or no? No impact on cost. Right. So lots of different attributes to this RFI we can create. There we go. So there's an open RFI with all the details I just gave it. There's always an activity log with everything we do in the platform. So whether it be an RFI, submittals, specific files, sheets, whatever we're doing, we always have visibility into how things were modified or deleted or changed or created. You can add comments, right? This is all about transparency. So if I go back to my list here, I can see the list of RFIs. You can see that's in a draft. Let me go ahead and sit. It's still in draft, so I'm going to submit it for review. I haven't configured my workflow. So obviously there's some setup here. I've got to make someone a creator. We'll say reviewer. There we go. I can define my RFI types. I can define a custom field. So we've got 4 different types of fields. So maybe a multi-select versus single select. I've got some advanced settings. Do I want to be able to reopen RFIs? Do I want visibility to see closed RFIs, or do we want to hide them because we've got 1,000 RFIs on this job and we just don't need to see them all? So some options there for RFIs. What else? Submittals. Let's take a look at submittals. So submittal is different than an RFI, of course. You can see I've got to do some setup here as well. So we'll say, we'll add myself, default manager, where my responses, those are fine. What numbering method do I want for my submittals? If I had specs, I would use specs, but we'll just use global for the example. So I can create a submittal item. So if I had a spec section, I could assign it, but I'll just create one here. I don't know, I'm going to make up a number. Oops. Uh, Maybe I wanted to use a certain type of cleaner for the site, and I'm submitting, a product spec for this particular cleaner I wanted to use on the site. Um, Safety requirements. So maybe this is product data high because we've got to clean up something yesterday. Maybe I had a PDF or maybe a picture from my phone of the spec itself, right? I can do all that. I need it tomorrow because we got to get people out there. And we'll put the approval date there tomorrow so I can get the materials there by the end of the week. We'll give it a couple of days lead time. I hit create. Oop, I forgot to pick my spec. There we go. Oh, I love when demos fail, but you saw what goes into that. Lots of information, right? All of this is about information. What else can we do? Project meetings. When I create a meeting, if I've got a template, I could, if I want to standardize, I could do it from a template, but I'll just do a new meeting for the sake of demonstration. Again, everything starts as an agenda until we actually have the meeting, and then it turns into minutes. So let's say tomorrow at 10 a.m. until 10:30, we will do a Teams meeting. And it's going to burp about permissions, which is fine. There it goes. So now I've got my Teams link. What are we talking about? Reviewing site cleanup. What materials to use for site cleanup. Brand X, brand Y, oops, etc. And I can make them individual issues. I can even attach some of the material documentation, right? Anyway, I'm boring people at this point. So you can create your meeting agenda, invite people to this. Now, here's the thing that's often difficult about this. Any of our projects, in order to get to the data in a project, you have to be invited to the project and then, of course, given permissions to see specific bits of data. You don't get to see all the bits just because you have access to the project. Well, what if I've got a vendor I want to include in this meeting who's not in the project? That's where I would create a non-member. So Joe Windex for glass cleaners. I put his mail in there, email, and off I go. Right, and so now I've got non-members that can be part of that meeting. And of course, this would be cleanup materials, would be the meeting name. Once we actually go to have the meeting, we flip this to minutes. So the meeting happened, we mark things as minutes, and then I've got these as open issues when we were done. So there's my minutes. I can create a follow-up meeting if I needed to, and then on and on you go. Under items, I could see the two open issues from that. So then I can pick on those items and then create assignments had I done it while it was still on the agenda. Anyway, so lots of things that we can do with meetings. Reports. I'm noticing we're coming up here on the bottom of the hour. So I just want to come to reports. I can create a particular report on anything. So here's some pre-formatted reports. So RFI detail. It's going to be a PDF. I'll save it into my project and I'll save it as a version, right? So I've got a versioned report. filter by status, due date. Actually, I want to, we'll say by cost impact. Yeah, no, yes, maybe. I don't know, making up stuff. Here I go, right? How do I want it to sort? We'll say sort by due date. And then I can run that report. Wait a minute, do I want this to be a one-off or do I want it to be scheduled? So I've got a choice. I can say that. I can rename it. Overdue cost RFIs. I don't know, making up a scenario. I hit run and save. And now that happens on the regular. Now, if I want to go adjust the schedule, I can. It's creating it the first time. Only because I didn't finish doing the filter. But once it's created, then I can revise the schedule. Even apply recipients so they get notification when it's done. Lots of information.